Not all AI is built the same, and not all work can afford for it to be. Where outputs shape legal judgments, financial disclosures, regulatory filings, close enough, almost right, are unacceptable. The question is no longer whether AI can generate an answer, it's whether professionals can verify it and stand behind it. The data is clear. The gap between what professionals need and what AI delivers has never been wider. Thomson Reuters continues to raise that standard and help the industries we serve meet it. 1 million CoCounsel users across 107 countries and territories. 2,500 internal domain experts. The people behind Westlaw, Practical Law, OneSource, Checkpoint, and CoCounsel. This is Fiduciary-Grade AI, built so professionals can verify, cite, and defend their work. AI that supports professional judgment and ensures that accountability remains human. Thomson Reuters, the AI company for professionals.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Raghu Ramanathan. I'm the President of Legal Professionals and Government at Thomson Reuters. And we are glad to have you here for what is a very, very first LinkedIn Live event. I want to start with some news. As many of our legal customers know, we are on the cusp of launching the next generation of CoCounsel Legal very soon. Our customers are moving fast, so we are moving even faster. Early access to the next generation of CoCounsel Legal begins this week. This is very exciting because we think that this product is a generational breakthrough, almost comparable to the moment when Casetext launched the world's first legal AI assistant in 2023. We are setting the bar once again for what legal AI should be. I'll let Ravia in a few moments tell you more about the exciting new CoCounsel next generation in a moment. But what I want to tell you first is why it matters. Coincidentally, today, we are also releasing the 4th edition of the Future of Professionals report. We spoke to more than 1,800 professionals across 62 countries about how they use AI and what their expectations are for AI. The results were consistent and unambiguous. Adoption of legal AI is at an all-time high, with 71% of professionals regularly using it. This gap is no longer about adoption, but about accountability. Professionals are demanding AI that they can trust. It is not just about convenience, efficiency, and time saved. Those are just table stakes. What is critical right now, whether the AI you're using produces work you can stand behind. This question is producing real consequences. Courts across the US and internationally have sanctioned hundreds of lawyers for submitting AI-generated, fabricated citations. Most recently, we've seen credible law firms apologizing to federal judges after submitting a filing containing dozens of incorrect citations linked to AI-generated outputs. Courts have made it very clear that the ultimate responsibility sits with the lawyer, not with the technology. And as adoption continues, the difference between tools built for convenience and tools built for professional accountability is becoming impossible to ignore. Our data is clear. Legal professionals are demanding a higher standard from AI. 87% say they need AI outputs that can be explained and defended by building on human professional expertise. 94% say they need outputs grounded in authoritative and verified content, not scraped from the open internet. 95% say they need confidential data being safeguarded. That standard has a name. At Thomson Reuters, we call it Fiduciary-Grade AI. It is a standard for how AI should work in high-stakes professions. AI designed for professionals with duties of care and regulatory oversight, drawing on authoritative domain-specific content, protected by rigorous privacy and security safeguards, shaped by subject matter experts, and designed to produce transparent outputs that can be verified. Fiduciary-grade AI sets the bar when accuracy, accountability, and trust are paramount. Our recent survey confirms that thousands of professionals have arrived at the exact same conclusion. It is now time to pivot to the next generation of legal AI products that are fiduciary grade in order to bridge the accountability gap that I spoke about, which is what makes the launch of the next generation of CoCounsel Legal momentous. It is the most complete expression of that standard that the profession has ever seen. With that, I would like to invite Ravia to tell us more about the next generation of CoCounsel Legal.
Thank you, Raghu. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ravia Ashraf, and I'm the co-head of product for CoCounsel Legal. I spend my days building products for legal professionals and talking to the lawyers who use them. And I have to tell you something. Today is a day that my team has been working toward for a long time. When we launched the beta of the next generation of CoCounsel, we expected what most betas look like. I've been in product for a long time, and we know betas tend to go in a similar way. Careful feedback, incremental refinement, months of iteration before you're finally ready to launch a product. That's not what happened with the new generation of CoCounsel. Attorneys in our beta who are used to using CoCounsel Legal for specific tasks now started nearly every experience and every project in the new CoCounsel. Lawyers who came in with a short list of use cases left with a long one. And across nearly every user, the reaction was the same, and it was unprompted. I can't get enough of this. So we're not waiting. The next generation of CoCounsel Legal is available this week, ahead of schedule, because our customers told us that they were ready and that the product was ready. Here's what makes it different. This is not an update to an existing product. It's not incremental. It's a complete rebuild. The next generation of CoCounsel Legal was rebuilt from the ground up on the latest frontier models in partnership with Anthropic, combining Claude's models with Thomson Reuters' authoritative content, legal expertise, and professional-grade architecture. So best-in-class models grounded in the content and standards that professional work requires. In the new experience, you can describe your matter in plain language. CoCounsel Legal will take it from there. It forms a plan. It retrieves what it needs natively from Westlaw, Practical Law, and your own precedents and documents. It drafts with citations to its source material, and now it can adapt on the fly when new information changes the picture. What we heard from lawyers in the beta over the past 8 weeks has literally stopped us in our tracks. They stopped comparing CoCounsel Legal to other AI solutions. They started comparing it to working with a senior associate. Not only does CoCo do what you ask it to do, but like a good senior associate, it goes beyond that and suggests additional factors for you to consider or new arguments to make. The beta testers kept confirming that we had built something special. Litigators told us that the underlying work analysis made them rethink what's possible in complex work. Transactional attorneys told us they were completing work in single sessions that used to take multiple hours and multiple tools. And a specialist in employee benefits told us it could save him months of work, which would allow him to actually focus on generating new business. The next generation of CoCounsel Legal is a new kind of legal AI. One that holds the work together, carries the context forward, and meets the fiduciary-grade standard in every step. CoCounsel Legal also connects to the ecosystem of tools that legal professionals already use: Microsoft 365, iManage, Deep Judge, Supio, Smokeball, CLMs, and more. So the work stays connected without the overhead of switching and moving between systems. And we're not stopping there. What is coming over the next few months will take it even further. Today, you're going to hear from some of the organizations who have been part of our beta journey. But first, let's take a look at what the reimagined CoCounsel Legal has to offer.
It's going to be very exciting to see how the next generation of CoCounsel Legal shapes the legal profession. It's now our pleasure to introduce our panelists today. What you're going to hear from them is their experience with the next generation of CoCounsel Legal, and also what it looks like for cutting-edge organizations that get serious about AI and the legal work. To host our panel, we have our very own Emily Colbert, our co-head of products for Thomson Reuters Legal Products. We have Hal Snedden. Hal is the VP of Global Data Privacy Council for Brinks, where he leads global data protection, privacy, and AI governance initiatives. And we have Melissa Geller. She's a partner at Duane Morris, focusing on white-collar criminal defense, internal investigations, and complex commercial litigation. We're also joined by Colleen Nihil. Colleen is the Chief AI and Knowledge Officer for Morgan Lewis, where she leads the charge on matter planning, process design, and legal technology. And finally, we have Steve. Steve Pappas is a director at Stern Kessler, where his practice spans IP litigation, federal circuit appeals, and patent and trade proceedings. Welcome all, and with that, over to you, Emily.
Thanks, Raghu, and a warm welcome to the panel here. So we've all heard from Raghu and Ravia about the next generation of CoCounsel Legal and the beta, and all of our panelists have participated in the beta and tested out the new product. So I'd love to hear from a few of you on this. And Melissa, let's start with you. You're a litigator who uses Claude regularly in your day. Knowing that the next generation of CoCounsel Legal was built on Claude's agentic SDK, how do you differentiate between using plain vanilla Claude and what you've experienced in the beta with CoCounsel Legal, and how does that impact your practice?
Well, I'm not using Claude for legal work because it's not appropriate for legal work, but the CoCounsel had a familiar platform, which I appreciated. So I understand Claude and I understand how it works. And I have the benefit now of a connection to Westlaw's vast databases and having the output directly point to cases that I can link into, verify on the fly as I'm drafting, for my associates to be able to verify on the fly as I'm drafting grounds that work in something I can trust, something I think my associates can trust. Oh, that's so important. And also gives us that sort of safety net of we're checking things on the fly. We're not leaving drafting and site checking and site and substancing for later. We're doing it as we go, like we would normally work, like our normal workflows. So that's been a huge game changer for me to be able to have the authority that I need right there in my chat. And even when I'm going into Westlaw to do additional research, it's giving me, it's shaving time off my starting point to learn what is the current state of the law on this topic. Where do I start? What's that key case? I have a game now too. I try to beat Westlaw. Like if they have the main case, that I find that main case first. But it's been a huge time saver for me and a great tool and a resource that I can now use to know that what I'm working in, my firm approves, my clients can trust, and I can trust.
Thanks, Melissa. And Steve, you've also been testing the next generation of CoCounsel, and you had told me you found a specific workflow that you've embedded kind of directly with your teams. Can you talk about that example and how it's really changed how you practice and where you see the technology going?
Sure. So with the original CoCounsel platform, we used it for very discrete tasks and primarily for legal research. Now with the new CoCounsel platform, that's changed a lot. And so one of the example workflows that we now have integrated with our own internal workflow is brief evaluation. And that's for both opposing briefs that we receive as well as briefs that we draft ourselves. So anytime that I receive a brief from the opposing side, I'll immediately throw it into CoCounsel with very simple prompts, ask it for misquotes, especially looking for fake citations. That's a huge one, and everyone's concerned with hallucinations, as I'm sure we'll talk about a lot during this conversation. But now what CoCounsel can do with Claude underlying it and linked to Westlaw's ground truth data is really look for also mischaracterizations of cases, and does the case actually stand for the proposition for which it's being put forth. And it turns out that Claude, and combined with CoCounsel's data, is really good at doing that type of semantic analysis. And so we put this in, and we can immediately identify where opposing counsel has either cited a fake case, misquoted, mischaracterized the case, and people are concerned about this, and I think they should be, because now the tools are out there. Not only do you have to worry about your output producing that, but other people can identify that really quickly. And so that's why we also use it for our own briefs. Before anything goes out the door, it's going to run through this workflow, make sure that we're not mischaracterizing any cases, that they stand for the right propositions. And I think that adds a nice additional safeguard on top of our internal processes that we already have.
Thanks, Steve. And how, like Steve, as in-house counsel, you've also used the original CoCounsel extensively, and now the new generation of CoCounsel. Can you talk about where you see the biggest differences between the two products?
Yes, of course. Thank you. I think between original CoCounsel and reimagined, it's day and night. We started using CoCounsel in January of 25. What you would notice in CoCounsel Original is you would get to choose from hundreds of different skills, and once you put in your prompt, you would choose how you wanted the research to be done, whether in Westlaw or practical law, and then you got a further choice of what countries, if you chose practical law, you wanted to do the research in. Now, the user experience is much better. We notice right from the beginning that all these choices have been automated, and we now can put in our prompts and receive the answer. We started the beta with a very small group in Brinks Legal. We realized the value so quickly that we actually moved all of our license holders into the beta, and everyone has really appreciated the improvements in redlining, legal research, and the ability to speed up our work. In-house, we are a lean organization, and oftentimes we need answers fast, and CoCounsel has delivered that for us.
Thanks, Hal. It's great to hear all these different use cases across the beta testers. And now let's talk a bit about not just kind of using the tools, but how do we use the tools as an organization, and what does that mean for governance and adoption? So Melissa, the governance conversation is happening across every legal organization right now. And in particular, your practice covers white-collar defense and internal investigations, where a mistake doesn't just cost your client money, right? It can end a career, it can cost them their freedom. And thinking about that context, what does AI governance mean for you and your practice and your organization?
Well, for me, AI governance means understanding not just what these tools can do, but their limitations, and learning how to work with the tools in a responsible way so that you're maximizing their efficiency and output, because obviously client money is valuable to them, client time is valuable to them, but also in a way that ensures that the outputs are true and accurate, and I can stand behind them when I stand up in court. And one of the ways that our firm is managing that is we have a dedicated team of people who are available as a resource, and they're wonderful to every lawyer in our firm, and they are active and they're working with our lawyers to help our lawyers understand not just where these tools can be used, but where their limitations are. And once we have that understanding of where their limitations are, our use cases explode exponentially. Understanding the limitation and working in those limitations is actually a strength, because then you're understanding really where their strengths are. So for me, learning about my tools that I'm using, relying on their outputs, involves understanding what they can do and what they can't do, and having my own team of professionals who have the time and the connections to learn about this all day, every day, to teach me and help guide me and the rest of our lawyers.
Thanks. That team of professionals sounds incredibly valuable. And similarly, Colleen, at Morgan Lewis, your firm has developed a credentialing program to build AI fluency across your lawyers. And I know most firms are still figuring out what governance means on paper, but you've truly rolled that out. You've invested in training the entire organization. And so can you tell me what drove that decision, and what does AI fluency mean in practice?
Sure. At our firm, everything we do in terms of AI and our rollout is part of what we call our AI studio, which has 3 key pillars. The first is around education, and we've developed an entire curriculum that's evergreen that all of our professionals and lawyers participate in. The second is around governance, which is so important. It's making sure that we meet our clients where they are on their AI journey, making sure that we look at tools and benchmark them, and have fiduciary-grade tools like CoCounsel Legal within our toolkit. And finally, having strategic partnerships with you and how much we've enjoyed how Thomson Reuters has really helped shape our roadmap. So our credentialing program came out of that AI Studio framework and in connection with a group of ML AI core partners. They're individuals across our firm that represent various different practice areas. They all have substantial books of business, and they're really thought leaders at the firm. So when we wanted to ensure that people were able to adopt AI into their practice, we really thought of the credentialing program almost like a license to drive. And part of that was not just understanding what the tool's capabilities and limitations were and participating in demos. It was hands-on training with tasks, and then individuals had to pass a proficiency exam to make sure that as they start to use this in connection with legal service delivery, they're doing so responsibly. And this wasn't something that was a nice to have or you should do this. This was a mandate and was something that our law firm leadership championed and required. So as of last summer, every single one of our lawyers was credentialed on CoCounsel, and we're going to continue that program as it relates to different tools and making sure, again, that it stays fresh and evergreen. I think it's given us the confidence to adopt these tools successfully, and it also signals to the market and to our clients that it's really important that we're taking this so seriously and understanding exactly what the start and end points are in terms of incorporating AI into your legal service delivery model.
It really is a kind of a full organizational involvement, Colleen. That's really impressive. And Steve, Stern Kessler did something unique recently. So Colleen mentioned the words partnership and talked about her partnership with Thomson Reuters in rolling out AI. When your firm looked at, kind of the build, buy, partner decision, you saw a commercial opportunity in building rather than simply licensing AI, and that led you to co-develop the patent claim eligibility analyzer with Thomson Reuters. And I'm curious, what drove that thinking? What do you feel like you were able to do together with another organization instead of independently? And I'd just love to hear more about the journey.
Sure. So our journey started a few years ago, really. And being an IP firm, most of us are true geeks, and so we wanted to be on the forefront of AI. And so we looked at what was out there and what vendors were doing, and our objectives were really twofold. The first is we wanted things to fit into our internal workflows, the way that our attorneys did things. We know the best way to approach IP-specific tasks. We know what the outputs are supposed to look like, and so we wanted a tool that would do that. The second objective was to be in control of the data verification loop and make sure that we know what's happening on the back end, how it's checking data against what we consider authoritative or ground truth data, and making sure that it's accurate. And so we looked at what was out there, and we decided it really doesn't fit our needs at the time. And so we decided to go and build our own AI platform. And one of the tools that came about at the beginning of that is this patent claim eligibility analyzer, which is an extremely important issue today in patent law. It is something that can decide litigations very early in the case, one way or another, whether it's going to keep going or whether it's going to be dismissed immediately. And so we came up with a workflow the way that we would approach it normally, and we built into that our own data verification. And we used Claude, CoCounsel is using Claude on the back end. And we realize it's really good at doing the type of analysis that we need to analyze claims, to figure out how to characterize them and compare them to cases. And so we were able to build in, the approach we've taken is we've built in this sort of data verification at every step. We have our agents that will independently validate the data and look into cases once we get an output before anything is returned to attorneys. By policy, we have our attorneys are required to look at the cases and make sure that they're standing for the right propositions, that there's no misquotes. And then that gets passed to our paralegals to do pretty much the same thing. So we built in a lot of levels of data verification. Part of the problem with our tool is really that we had to manually pull this huge corpus of cases and keep it updated, pull the metadata from it. And it's a bit difficult to do that as a small organization. And one thing that Thomson Reuters that was very attractive is the data that they have, right? That we can link this with Westlaw's and Thomson Reuters data. We trust that. We know it's ground truth data. It can stay updated. They pull fantastic metadata, and we know that as the tool keeps going and new decisions come out, they're going to be integrated into this tool. Working with the Thomson Reuters team, then the engineering team was able to take our workflow, keep things that we know we need on the back end, the verification loop in there, and put it into the CoCounsel platform. And that's sort of the dream situation, that we have Thomson Reuters managing the data for this, using a lot of the same design that we had in our internal tool. And to be able to have a say in how these tools, not only the patent claim eligibility analyzer, but I hope in the future tools, to have a say in how those are designed and that they fit into our workflows. I think that's the future of development, and that's been extremely beneficial for us.
Yeah, agreed, Steve. It's been incredibly beneficial, and we can't wait to take the next step and see what comes next. So far we've been talking about kind of using AI as individuals or individual organizations, but we know that's not how practice really works. It's all about the firm and client relationship and how we're partnering together. And so I'd love to hear, Hal, starting with you. You work as in-house counsel using AI on Brink's Legal Matters. How are you talking with your law firms about how they use AI and your expectations? Our research shows that in-house counsel are having these conversations more and more. I'd love to hear about the conversations you're having and your expectations.
Yes, this is so important to us. We are working with outside counsel to really understand what AI they're using and also how they're using it, because we're very concerned about our data. Confidentiality has always been part of that relationship between outside counsel and in-house, and it extends to AI. We have integrated into our outside counsel guidelines different written expectations we have for our law firm. So, of course, confidentiality. We don't want law firms to train any AI they're building on our data. We also want to make sure that we understand the AI and how it is controlled. We don't want our data being sent outside the law firm environment except, right, to talk to those back-end LLMs. We also have some expectations about how AI will benefit us. We expect to have efficiencies generated by AI. Our teams in outside counsel are generally made up of partners and associates. When you add AI into the mix, hopefully you can take some of those manual tasks they're doing and automate them, and with the result of cost efficiencies for us at Brinks. We still need outside counsel for that critical thought leadership they have and the ability to take complex questions and distill those into answers we can then give our clients. But we're also looking for AI to help us lower some of those costs and to generate faster answers, because AI in the end really can save time and make us work more efficiently, but also make outside counsel work more efficiently.
Thanks, Hal. And Colleen, I'd like to hand you the same question, but from the firm side. I know you're having increasing conversations with your clients. They have a lot of questions about AI. How are you approaching those conversations so that they feel confident that they're getting the work product that they expect?
Sure, and you're right. We're seeing a huge increase in the number of client conversations, ones that we're initiating and ones that our clients are asking us to have directly. So I see those conversations taking place into three different buckets. The first is around really giving our clients confidence that our AI toolkit is well established and includes fiduciary-grade tools like CoCounsel Legal. They want to understand how those tools are architected from a technology perspective perspective to make sure that there is no data leakage and to ensure that their data is not being used to train any underlying LLMs. Second, they want to understand how we're using those tools in connection with legal service delivery and how to help their matters from a consistency standpoint, from a speed of delivery standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint. And so in that second bucket, what we really try to focus on and show them with the demonstrations and bringing in practitioners as well as individuals from my team is exactly how these tools can work and how they improve the quality of legal service delivery. So we'll go through any number of different use cases that are very specifically tailored to that client's industry and background. And then third is where we can partner with our clients in using AI. We don't see this as just a one-way window. We tend to really focus on the process of the way that legal service delivery works, and we understand that there are certain things that in-house counsel need to do as well as law firms. And so part of that is dissecting the entire process, understanding what steps we need to take, what steps they need to take, and thinking about it as a holistic process. So as part of that, we go through and we really try to not just think about how AI can speed certain things up, but how it can change that overall process to match our clients' goals and expectations. So those are the three large areas that we see, and we're really excited about that third, which includes really co-building solutions with our clients to help with legal service delivery.
Thanks, Colleen. It's clear that that type of conversation and collaboration is more important than ever before. And I'm sure everyone listening today can see that this panel is really on the leading edge of legal AI. But I want to give you a very big thank you for your time today in this rich discussion. And before we end, I really want to be able to, everyone to see CoCounsel, the next generation. We've talked about the beta. Let's take a look at a demo.
I'm representing the seller in an acquisition. Here, I'm uploading a draft merger agreement and have told CoCounsel in simple language to prepare an issues list of seller-friendly terms that are missing in the draft. CoCounsel creates a plan for how it will approach the task. It starts by reviewing the merger agreement to understand the deal. Then it researches practical law. As it works, CoCounsel also surfaces the supporting documents it is relying on. This is a key differentiator. CoCounsel is not just reading the agreement, it is grounding its analysis in Thomson Reuters legal content. I did not tell CoCounsel to research any specific provisions. The agent identified what resources, market trends, and deal terms are relevant to the outcome I asked for. Once the output is created, CoCounsel shows the final issues list, along with the documents it relied on. As I scroll down, I also have a concise analysis of the highest priority issues. The issue list is organized by priority. It starts with the absence of a reverse termination fee, then identifies the missing go-shop period, along with other seller-side concerns. For each issue, CoCounsel explains what the draft currently does, why that is unfavorable to the company, and then proposes a seller-favorable alternative. And because CoCounsel is grounded in practical law, I can click directly from the memo into the supporting practical law resources. Here, I can review the discussion of no shops and their exceptions, including go shops, and quickly understand the legal and practical basis for CoCounsel's recommendation. Other tools may suggest ways to make the no shop stronger, but CoCounsel identified that a go shop was missing altogether. And the reason it did that, and the reason I can trust it, is that it relied on practical law guidance.
As we come to the end of our program, I wanted to thank our customers for our insights and also for every one of you who could join us today. Let me close where I began. The next generation of CoCounsel Legal has been rebuilt from the ground up, and it represents something fundamentally new: the world's first fiduciary-grade AI for legal professionals. What does this mean in practice? It means that it is AI that doesn't just assist, but performs at the level of a senior associate with deep comprehension, sound judgment, specialized expertise, and work you can verify and you can trust. You heard it from our panelists, and we heard it also from our beta customers. they're not describing incremental improvement. They're describing a step change, something that expands what they thought was possible. That's the experience we want for all of you. So we invite you to see it for yourself, join our early access program, explore the product, and experience firsthand what fiduciary-grade AI really means. On your screen soon, you'll find a QR code to request a demo and sign up for early access for the reimagined CoCounsel. Thank you again for being part of our very first LinkedIn Live event. We're just getting started, and we are excited to have you with us on this journey. Thank you.